chamber to the people. Let the voices ring. Laws are made. Debates take the wing.
I know we are going to be reposed with responsibilities.
Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Watch the Senate and the House of Representatives, where decisions flow. The Parliament, the place to know. The Parliament, see power at play. The Parliament, your window into democracy at work, only on Global Television. Hello and welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament, which deliberates on legislative policies. I am Anieti Patrick. Welcome. On this edition of the program, we will take a look at the ongoing constitution review. Further clarifications emphasize that the ongoing constitutional review involves public hearings across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones, gathering suggestions including requests for new states and local government areas, but no formal decisions or approvals have been made by the Senate or its committees. This follows the Nigerian Senate refuting a recent social media claim that the Constitution Review Committee proposed creating 12 new states in Nigeria. Senator Abdul Ningi, representing Bauchi Central, dismissed the report as false during plenary under Order 42, clarifying that the committee has neither received any zonal review report nor deliberated on state creation bills. Thompson Gimba was at plenary and filled us in on this.
State is fake, is toxic, and is an irresponsible media outlet. So it is important, Mr. President, to take this matter to Nigerians that the Senate has not, for now, sat on any committee's report from the zonal levels. The main committee is yet to even be received.
The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, also expressed concern about the spread of such misinformation, highlighting it as a threat to national unity and public trust.
Nigeria has not even concluded the processes of getting a final report for deliberation on constitutional amendment, and therefore no single state, proposed or otherwise, has been created. And even if that were to be the case, it will involve all the houses or assemblies in the country, and we must get their 2/3 concurrence before anything can come back to us.
Further clarifications emphasized that the ongoing constitutional review involves public hearings across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones, gathering suggestions, including requests for new states and local government areas, but no formal decisions or approvals have been made by the Senate or its committee.
Also, the Senate approved President Bola Tinubu's request for an external borrowing plan of over $21 billion for the 2025 to 2026 fiscal cycle during plenary. This was sequel to the consideration and adoption of a report of the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debt, presented by its chairman, Senator Aliu Wamako from Sokoto North. The comprehensive borrowing package includes $21.19 billion in direct foreign loans, £4 billion, 15 billion yen, and $65 million grants and domestic borrowing through government bonds. To throw more light on the Senate decision, we had a chat with the Senate spokesperson, who is also a chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Publicity. He is also the senator representing APC Ekiti South Senatorial District in the 10th National Assembly, Senator Yemi Adaramodu. Let's take a listen.
There's no nation in the world that is not taking loans or grants. There's no nation. I've never seen that nation that is an economic island, whereby it will not borrow. It depends on what you use the money that you borrow for, and it depends on the conditions that are attached. The one is that even these bodies that do give these grants or loans, they will never give you if they know that you are a chronic debtor. If they know that you don't have the capacity to even pay, and for you to even approach those bodies and for them to agree, it means that you are credible. Okay. It means that you can pay back. It means that you are growing. It means that you are not regressing. You are not retrogressing. You are not insolvent. You are not bankrupt. So it is a test to the economic health of any nation. So yes, Nigeria government approached the National Assembly of a borrowing plan, and we looked at all this, and these plans, the money to be borrowed, are attached to specific programs and projects. The one that is attached to rail, the one that is attached to road infrastructure, the one that is attached to even pension areas, because we know that for the often time, not at the span of this new government, we have been having running battle with pensioners, areas here, areas there, the police, and several others like that. So we have been battling with all those things. So if a government says, okay, it's about human development, because it is not infrastructural development alone that we'll be embarking on. So we have to talk about human development. So if we need to safeguard the health of our people through paying them their entitlement, definitely it did not start with this government. This government is just 2 years back. So definitely it is pertinent. And while, like I said, that the National Assembly agreed to it, is that we have already told the government that whenever we want to take any facility, let us know what the facility will go for. If let it be attached that, okay, so amount is attached to rail line building. This one is attached to road building. This one is attached to humanitarian matters. This one is attached to health and other welfare matters. So once those ones are attached, and then even the bodies where all these grants and loans are to be obtained, they are strict. They are not Nigerian bodies. They are not African bodies. They are bodies that are international, that they are into business, and they do business, and that they will never allow you to take money for yam and go and buy cocoa yam. So they are not. So since we are sure of that one, because that's not about the borrowing, and you know, when you do budget is speculative. For example, we thought that oil will be at $17 throughout, but that was the time it went to 58. So the shortfall, that is where the shock comes. That's where grants and loans will come in as a filler. And that's why the government will not just come out with excuses. Yes, we thought they are going to sell 2 million barrels per day, but they have been buying from us 1.5 million barrels per day. Because we want to sell, we are not going to be the buyers by ourselves. Other people are selling too. It is a competitive market. So when you now have a shortfall over that competitiveness of the commodity that you have, which is a sole commodity in Nigeria, so which is oil. So definitely you have to bridge the gap. And in order to bridge the gap so that there won't be economic excuses that can lead to political crisis and uproar or brouhaha, then definitely we expect a reasonable government to approach the lending market to take a borrow. But it's our duty to scrutinize, to ensure that yes, you don't borrow just for frivolities. You don't borrow just to show up your account. You don't borrow because you are hungry. You don't borrow because some pampers you have to change it. But you borrow because you want to develop. You borrow because you want to grow. You borrow, you want to safeguard the lives of your people. You borrow because we know that at the end of the day, even when you put it on infrastructure like railway, then it is something, it is money that you can recoup. and then the payback is not stringent. And not only that, for the first time in Nigeria, in the history of our borrowing, this government is paying back to the extent that IMF had to give credit to Nigeria. That yes, the money that Nigeria borrowed sometimes, that we have paid back in full. So meaning that we are solvent enough to borrow, utilize it, and then pay back without extra body and extra pain.
Away from that, at the committee level, the Senate Committee on Public Accounts has granted 3 weeks to the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Engineer Bayo Ojulari, for a comprehensive report on the 210 trillion naira allegedly misappropriated from 2017 to 2023. This followed a plea made by the NNPCL GCEO before the committee in order to enable him to look into the said financial audited reports. Thompson Giba was there again and brings us more.
The Chairman Senate Committee on Public Accounts, Senator Ali Wadada Nasarawa West, says the investigation stemmed out from the discovery made by the Committee on the Financial Audited Report of NNPCL to the tune of 210 trillion naira from 2017 to 2023.
It's 107. If you put them together, the two will give you 210 trillion. Under normal accounting, it's assets minus liabilities. But in this case, the liability figure or the figure of the liabilities haven't been substantiated to the committee. So that means it is not acceptable by the committee. So 103 trillion on the liability side is not acceptable to the committee because it has not been substantiated.
The Group Chief Executive Officer, NNPCL, Engineer Bayo Ojulari, pleaded with the members of the committee to consider and give him additional time to look into the report following the fact that he was new in the system.
Some time to quick look into this specific perspective that you have given. Personally, I need to understand that the GCEO, I need to understand these issues myself so that I can ensure appropriate representation whenever we have to appear before you. I will also make a plea, Mr. Chairman, sir. The technicalities of these details, if you could permit me to ensure that at least I have a crack team of about 3 to 4 people specifically to dig into these questions. I was asking my CFO if he has a copy, because I don't think, no matter how much we try, that we can give you satisfactory response.
After wider consultation among themselves, the members of the committee granted 3 weeks to the Group Chief Executive Officer, NNPC Engineer Bayo Ojulari.
Meanwhile, the Senate has adjourned plenary sitting to September 23, 2025, marking the end of its current legislative year, with a directive to all committees to conclude work on pending reports ahead of resumption. Thompson Gimba also brings us the details.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, made the announcement after a closed-door executive session that lasted for over an hour. He charged all standing and ad hoc committees to make effective use of 2-month break to finalize their assignments in order to ease legislative consideration and adoption upon resumption. In his earlier remarks, Senator Akpabio also encouraged lawmakers to use the recess period to inspect road construction projects in their constituencies and across the country.
The suspension is just plenary sittings. All ad hoc committees should continue to work. All necessary committees, Diaspora Committee, Committee on Reparation, Committee on Interior, and others. This is the best time for you to undertake visits to prisons and all that. Do all your reports and make them available as soon as we come back. We'll have a special day to consider all reports. And then all the other committees, reports extended to you, you must also make sure that those reports are ready for Senate scrutiny when plenary commences. You are moving from plenary for the next few weeks, but you are not stopping your legislative functions.
Meanwhile, senators are expected to travel to Jos, Plateau State on Friday to attend the burial of the wife of their colleague, Senator Dicket Plang, representing Plateau Central.
Tomorrow, we will all converge at Jos to bid the wife of our colleague, distinguished Senator Dicket Plang, Mrs. Plang, farewell as she goes back to her Creator. May her soul once again rest in perfect peace.
The long recess is an annual break for countries practicing democracy around the world, which by its annual calendar ends in June of every legislative year.
Let's take a breather here. And on the flip side, we will look at the Green Chamber's approval of the Rivers State 2025 budget and the adoption of the reports of its Public Accounts Committee on the 2019 and 2020 Auditor General's report. Welcome back. The House of Representatives, sitting in the Committee of the Whole, directed the anti-graft agencies to recover more than 103 billion naira and nearly $1 million misappropriated by 31 federal ministries, departments, and agencies. Let's take a listen.
Sitting in the Committee of the Whole, the House adopted the report of its Public Accounts Committee on the 2019 and 2020 Auditor General's report. The report presented by the committee chairman, Honorable Bamidele Salam, detailed widespread financial infraction, misappropriation, and non-compliance with public finance rules.
All these agencies that were queried by the Auditor General for the Federation were given the opportunities of fair hearing to appear before the Public Account Committee, their chief accounting officers, while the Auditor General presents the facts behind those queries.
One of the major highlights was the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which was ordered to refund over 424 million naira and nearly $800,000 spent without proper authorization on a presidential lodge in Ethiopia.
We should make a judgment that all of us should go to sleep, that what we have passed, I'm convinced of what I have done. I want to beg that we step down this one, go and study before we come to the accommodation.
I have found in this report some agencies that even as a layman, if you walk into some of these institutions of government, you will be disappointed because the place is in total rot.
The committee has presented a report. Our duty is simply to consider the reports and approve them. The essence of this report is not as if one is totally and finally indicted. This document goes to the executive arm for implementation.
The Bank of Agriculture was faulted for uncollected debts totaling 75.6 billion naira. Lawmakers asked the bank to publish names of defaulting borrowers and work with EFCC and ICPC to ensure recovery. The Rural Electrification Agency came under fire over 1.3 billion naira in financial infrastructure, including 394 million naira spent on unapproved electrification projects. Also cited was Nigerian Security Printing and Minting PLC, which paid 14.4 billion naira in unauthorized salary and allowances, now marked for full recovery. Presiding at plenary, Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu commended the committee for what he called a rigorous and patriotic effort.
The House also reports that in the Committee of the Whole, it considered the report of the Committee on the Public Accounts and annual reports of the Auditor General of the Federation of Nigeria for December 31st, 2019 and December 31st, 2020, Part 1, non-compliance and internal control weakness issues in MDAs and approved recommendations therein, pursuant to Order 20, Rule 2, Sub 2, Paragraph I of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives, and approved recommendations 1 to 10 of the 2019 report and approved the recommendations of the 2020 report.
Other agencies flagged include Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited, Veterinary Council of Nigeria, Kwali Area Council, NEPSA, and the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources ordered to refund funds or recover illegal payments. The lawmakers also directed the FIRS to conduct back duty tax investigations and EFCC to probe hidden contingencies and suspicious contract payments.
Also, the House of Representatives passed the 1.485 trillion naira appropriation bill for Rivers State for the 2025 fiscal year. The lawmakers, however, slashed 35 billion naira from the allocation earmarked for CCTV installations, gunboats, purchase and surveillance contracts. This was not without a heated debate.
At Tuesday's plenary presided over by the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, the House considered and adopted the report of its ad hoc committee on Rivers State, chaired by Majority Leader Julius Nhonvere, APC Edo, before leading the bill for the third time and passing it. Speaking during the consideration of the committee's report, Honorable Ihonvere said the panel also redirected over 30 billion naira from the controversial security-related votes to other majority projects, insisting that the adjustments were necessary to ensure the prudent use of state resources. He stated that the budget allocates 256.42 billion naira for personnel, 162.58 billion naira for overhead, and 1.06 trillion naira for capital expenditure for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025.
If an act authorized the issue from the Rivers State Government Statutory Revenue Fund of the Rivers State account the total sum of 1,485,662,592,444 naira, read third time and pass.
The decision followed earlier concerns by the ad hoc committee over several allocations, including 24 billion naira for CCTV at the government house and 30 billion naira for gunboats, which the panel queried during budget defense.
But we are not preparing impress for the administrator to spend. And government is continual. At any time, like you have rightly said, we do not pray for any extension. But if it becomes inevitable,
it was purposely on the issue that there was no governance because there was no budget. And the Supreme Court ordered that those democratic provisions should be restored. And that also reflected in Mr. President's speech when he declared emergency. So what the administrator brought is a budget that constitutionally is to have a lifespan of 1 year.
Recall that President Bola Tinubu has initially forwarded the 1.48 trillion naira Rivers State appropriation bill to the National Assembly for consideration in May for urgent intervention to restore governance and accelerate development in Rivers State. The president stated that the budget aims to address development challenges in Rivers State, specifically in the areas of infrastructure, education, healthcare, agriculture, and security.
Moving away from appropriations, Nigeria's House of Representatives condemned a recent decision by United States government to reduce visa validity for Nigerian citizens. The House called the move a threat to diplomatic goodwill and mutual cooperation. Speaking on the floor, lawmakers emphasized that the new visa rule risks undermining years of goodwill and sacrifices by both countries in promoting security, education, cultural exchange, and democratic cooperation. The House of Representatives has raised serious concerns over the United States' new visa policy, which reduces the validity of Nigerian non-immigrant visas from 5 years with multiple entries to just 3 months, single entry. In a motion of urgent public importance, sponsored by Honorable Mahmoud Mukhtar and co-sponsored by 4 other lawmakers, the House described the policy shift as damaging to long-standing diplomatic and economic ties between both nations. Lawmakers warned that the abrupt policy change announced on July 8 could significantly disrupt business activities, academic pursuits, and family connections for thousands of Nigerians, and also threatening the country's $1 billion monthly diaspora remittances, an important economic lifeline. The House therefore mandated the Nigeria-US Parliamentary Friendship Group to officially communicate the House position to US lawmakers and relevant diplomatic channels.
Resolves: 1. Condemn in strong terms the decision by the United States government to downgrade Nigeria visa status without due consideration of the historical, strategic, and people-centric ties between both nations. Urge the United States Embassy in Nigeria and the United States Department of State to rescind the new visa policy decision and restore 5-year multiple entry visa regime previously granted to Nigerian citizens in spirit of mutual respect, equity, and reciprocity.
Citing decades of strategic partnership, shared democratic values, and legislative diplomacy, the House noted that Nigeria and the United States have consistently maintained robust bilateral cooperation, including the U.S.-Nigeria Parliamentary Friendship Group. The House, however, insists that immigration and security concerns must be addressed through cooperation, not punitive measures that affect millions of law-abiding Nigerians. However, at the committee, the House of Representatives launched a comprehensive investigation into the state of Nigerians' refineries ahead of plans by the federal government to privatize them despite significant investment in turnaround maintenance. Let's take a listen to the Chairman, House Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, Honorable Ikenga Ugochinyere.
The first issue that the committee looked at is the committee also was worried about the outcome of the turnaround maintenance of the refinery, considering the amount of money that was spent, and then after the jubilation and celebration by Nigerians, including their president, who weren't happy to now hear again that there was need to shut down a few weeks after operation, and also confused when we now heard about sale being also considered. So the committee agreed this morning to look into the state of the refinery to find out what happened, because public fund was paid. It's a company, but the assets of the company still belongs to the Nigerian people. And they're asking us questions, and the committee have received series of petitions which they have decided to handle to find out the state of the refinery, the turnaround maintenance. The company involved was a company that was said to have reputable international history. Is it that they failed in the project, or is it there's something that we don't know? So as a representative of the people, the committee resolved to look into the state of the refineries and find out what happened before we even talk about selling it, because we must find out what happened. Because all of us celebrated when it started work, and there are people who were responsible for oversighting it from the company as of that moment, and they assured us that everything was going on very well. So we need to know what happened and why is it not running, and why is sale on the table. These are the issues, including also what is a sustainable way of having it. Do we need it? Do we need to be privatized? Is there a need for partnership and so on and so forth? This is what the framework the subcommittee will draw up, and then we'll take a decision, and then we'll present before Parliament. And also I want to, before I proceed, ask members, is this a true reflection of what was discussed?
And that's the much we can take on this edition of the program. Thanks to my production team. See you next week on the Parliament on Global Television, channel 365 on DSTV and 276 on StarTimes. To stay connected, kindly follow us on all our social media platforms at Global Television NG. Until the next time, I am Anieti Patrick. Bye for now.